I would like to present Jacob from Coride. Yay!
Okay, thanks for having me back. I was here in May, and we talked about all the great things that would happen with the pilot we're doing here in Lund. So first, just for those of you who weren't there, what is Coride? It's a ride-sharing app available on iOS and Android. We match the need of passengers and drivers, and we make it possible for them to plan their rides together, and we also take care of the cost distribution between the people involved. We're not in the business of clickers. Here we go. Planning rides, and maybe I'll just do it like this. So we distribute the cost between the users as well. And we visualize the CO2 that people have saved and how much money they've saved. So we're two guys. We're based in Ystad. We're bootstrapped. We have no external financing yet. And we're two people with an external developer. So why we're doing this? Well, there are obvious reasons. We have climate problems, and we are still riding too few people in too many cars. And the idea for this service, this app, came when I was in Portugal, in Lisbon, at the Web Summit, and I listened to Agora. And he said that there's 1.1 person, and this is going really well. Yes, please, thank you. There's 1.1 person per car in the world, which is absolutely crazy. So we went back. Thank you. Yeah, you can just keep on clicking. Thank you. So we spent 1 year researching and looking at what services have been out there and not worked. We spent 1 year designing and developing the app, and we spent a lot of time understanding how the innovation system works and applying for grants. If you're a startup, you know what I'm talking about. We spent half a year at Hetch in Helsingborg. We launched the pilot. We did the app was actually ready in November 21, but the pandemic made it impossible for us to go on. So we started the pilot here in April this year, together with Ideon. And we're still piloting now, because we were going for April, May, June, and then the summer was kind of not so active, and now we're starting up again. So we spent thousands of hours and lots of our savings on this so far. So the problem, of course, is there are many problems, but one of the problems is how to get it out there. Because we have millions of apps to compete with, and a normal user uses 9 apps per day. We have normally 80 apps in our phone, but we normally use 9 apps per day and 30 apps per month. So you can click on right here. And the question is, how do we become one of those apps? If you have the answer to that, you can come and talk to me afterwards. But basically, we need to fulfill a need. And you can actually go back. There was one more thing. Yeah, this model here. There. So, marketing 101 is having a funnel. You know that. We have a lot of people unknown to us. We need to work with acquisition, meaning that we will make them understand who we are and interested in us. Next thing is to activate them, to have downloaded the app and actually do something in the app. Next step is to make them do it again, to become recurring users. And hopefully they will like it so much they will become ambassadors and bring in other people. So this is the model, and we are basically around here. We've managed to find people that are interested in us, and we need to make them use the service. So the pilot so far. The good stuff. It's very easy to explain. People understand it and they see the need. We have almost 500 users here in and around Lund, which is great. We talk a lot to the companies, the corporates, and they understand what we're saying, and they also like the concept. I've only had 2 no's so far after talking to maybe 30, 40 companies. We get good feedback from our users on the design and the functionality of the app. We also see that the distribution is all over, from male to female and all ages, so that's great as well. And we have a lot of great company partners, and we have many more in the pipe. So these are some of the companies and organizations that we are working together with. And if you in some other company here that's not on the list, please talk to me. So the bad stuff. We have a difficulty in changing people's behavior. And this was something we anticipated, but it's very difficult to get a grip on it. So users are not, we can get the users in, but they are not very active yet. Which means that we don't have the critical mass yet in the system. And we were hoping to be able to work with public organizations like Kommune and the region and so on and so forth. But it's very difficult because of the laws. They cannot simply say this is a good idea, let's try it, because then they cannot point on one company alone. They have to do a whole process of getting it in. Thank you. So the actual users this morning was 462. Now, guess how many rides do you think have been generated in the system spontaneously? Any guess?
20,000?
20,000? Any other guess? That's too high. Magnus?
1,500.
Still too high, I'm afraid.
600.
600 is also too high.
500?
Oh my God. 0?
62?
You're right. So far, there has been no rides generated in the system by users without our help. So with our help, it happens, but spontaneously it hasn't. So you can go on. Why is this? Well, the main reason is that we don't have critical mass yet. So we're working hard to get more users in the system and to activate them. Yeah, obviously. Not enough rights. People that are in the system, maybe they go in and they search for a ride. Maybe they don't have a car, but maybe they are just searching because they just want to check, and they don't find anything. So we are trying to tell every user that the first thing you need to do is to create rights. And create rights for a week or for a month. You can do that. Just put it in there, because then the other people have something to search for. Okay? Like I said, searching, not creating. So these are the main issues. I think there's one more, actually. And that is the behavior is not there yet. I mean, we can do a perfect technical solution. We can make it affordable and useful and everything, but changing people's behavior is something that we can do as much as we possibly can, but I mean, it's a bigger question, really. So we're thinking of working with other players, other people working with mobility, companies, like we said, because everyone is interested in doing more ride sharing because it's a good thing for the environment. Organizations want to do it, companies want to do it, individuals want to do it, but how do we get that going? So the behavior is key for us. So the first step for us, as we saw on the funnel thing, is that people need to consider ride sharing at all. Yes.
And I think they can do it now when the train is stopped between Lund and Malmö.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean everything. We have the fuel prices and we have everything. I mean it's the perfect timing for us, but it still doesn't work. So the first step. The second step then, if people are considering sharing rides with others, how do they think? What is their main thoughts about this? And we think identity and status is one thing. Am I really a person that shares a car with someone else? Don't I have, I mean, I have my own car. I'm wealthy enough to drive my own car. I don't know. We need to look at these things. On the other hand, maybe there are a group of people that really identify with this and they say, I don't want to have a car. I want to ride share with others. Trust and security. It's something that hasn't come up at all actually in our feedback, but we think, I mean, we cannot forget this. This is important for us. And it will be important for a lot of people. Flexibility, I think, is also very important, that people are used to just take their car when they want it and they can go home when they want to. Instead of saying, okay, I need to wait 20 minutes so Magnus can jump in the car, or I need to go early. And obviously, if you've gone through all those things and you consider sharing rides, you need to find someone to ride with. Yes. So what do we do now? Well, we talked about the acquisition part and the activation part. And we're continuing to working with companies because it works very well. And we're talking to Tetra Pak and Alfa Laval and LKF and all the big companies here in Lund. We need the company partners that are involved to push more internally towards their employees. We're going to expand to Malmö and Helsingborg first, and then to all of Skåne. And hopefully we'll be there before the end of this year. Limited marketing campaigns, because we don't have that big a budget. So acquisition is kind of the easy thing. It's like getting the people in your store, but we need them to buy something, right? So this is activation. So we need to work more closely with the users we have, understanding their logic and their behavior. We need to make them understand that they are part of the community. This is a networking service. We need to be people in the system that can interact with each other. We're also thinking of having incentives for completing tasks. So if I sign up and create the ride and I ride with someone else, we can see that. So we can give them some Ahlgrens bilar or a value check for an ice cream or something. So just to make things happen in the beginning. And also if we see that someone is referring to other people, their friends or colleagues, so they become members or users, we can give incentives for that. So limited spending on marketing, because there's no use in getting even more people in the store unless we understand when they start to buy. We're also thinking of other possible channels. And one of the most interesting one is events. We're talking to Malmö FF, for instance. You have, 20,000 seats in the stadium. And when there's a home game, a lot of people will go to the stadium. And so if we had a co-riding service there, they could find each other and ride together to the game. We're also talking to shopping centers where people are also gathering, not as an event where it's one place and one time, but it's at least one place. And we're also talking to petrol station chains, because they are interested in this type of this target group. And if we can involve the petrol stations somehow, physically, that would be interesting for them. We're also thinking about reselling the service through other channels, so that will mean some kind of revenue share model. But still the main goal for us is to save 1 million tons of carbon dioxide, and we'll get there. Thank you. So here is the next one. download the app and become the first spontaneous ride created in the system, you will get a prize for sure. Thank you.
So you just let this image hang here.